Welcome to PropTech Pulse, the podcast that takes the pulse of prop technology in multifamily. I'm your host, Shelly Robinson, and each week we'll be diving deep into innovations, challenges, and the future of work in property technology and multifamily. From AI-driven property management to blockchain and real estate, we're here to explore how technology is reshaping the way we live, work, and invest in multifamily communities. Whether you're a property manager, a tech entrepreneur, an executive, or even simply curious about the future of living spaces, PropTech Pulse is your weekly dose of insights and inspiration. So let's sync our rhythms and get on with the show. It's time to take the pulse. Welcome to PropTech Pulse. Today I have with me Kasper from Magic Door. Thank you for joining the podcast today.
Thank you for having me here.
I'm really glad that we got to talk today. You and I have met a couple different times at industry events, and I've been really excited about what you're working on. To kind of kick us off today, I'll tell our listeners to just hang on until the end because you've got a couple announcements to make. But why don't you kick us off by sharing your story of kind of what's brought you to this point for this conversation today?
It's a little bit longer story, but I think it all started out with me investing in real estate myself and then being a very frugal person. So I also managed the real estate myself. And I used to work as a senior engineering manager at Amazon. So all of my additional revenue got funded into real estate in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Florida. And as I kind of grew my portfolio, I started out, when I bought my first fourplex, I gave the tenants my personal phone number using spreadsheets. And as you might want to guess, that's not a good idea to do. I then upgraded to a secondary phone, and I got a little bit better software. That was a little bit better, but the software that I used was these free tools that's out there that's very hyper specialized in just accounting or just rent collection. And I constantly had the issues like, hey, where's the secondary phone? We forgot it in a drawer. My wife had it, I had it. We didn't really know who had it, and we missed maintenance request. But it worked okay. And so I kind of grew my portfolio, and when I got my last building, I hit 32 units. And at that point, I realized that this can't keep on going, especially not with the rate that I'm growing at. So I need to go out and get some software. And that's when I started looking at incumbents in this industry. And I hit multiple different roadblocks on that. And I have two different hats on this. I have the hat of a property manager or SMB property manager, and I have the hat of an engineer. So as a property manager, I hit the first roadblock that I have 32 units. That seems like a lot to me, but in this industry, it's not a lot. So when I reached out to the software, I was basically told, go away. We don't even want to talk to you. Like there is some of the industry have like a minimum of 100 units. Other has a minimum of 500 units, and other has a budget minimum. So it's an AI solution that have a minimum contract of $20,000 a year. And if you sit with 32 units, that's ridiculously expensive and not a possibility at all. So even with that, but I did the math on it, and like if you look at the websites, there's like this subscription cost price, $2, $3, $5 per unit. But if you actually start looking into the features you actually need, such as accounting, tenant communication, and all the other stuff, you kind of realize I cannot just go with one. I need additional software, like for maintenance requests, for tenant communication, for AI. So we really want to automate this. Like I need a full suite of software. And for me, I calculated that I had to pay a very high startup fee, but my cost would be around like $30 per unit per month if you actually added up all the things that I needed to do. And this is actually real data because I went with one of my competitors and I actually did the math on it. I was paying roughly about $29 per unit per month. And that was not even any AI. That was just the basic package. So that's kind of what my property manager had on. I kind of realized that. And we also have data now with all the property managers that we have onboarded that we find that the average property manager pays almost 20% of their revenue to software solutions. And the weirdest part about this is that most don't know because the fees are so hidden from these incumbents, like all of these extra charges that come throughout the day. So you have to really sit down and look at it to realize how much you're actually paying. So the other was as an engineer. So I was an engineering manager at Amazon, and I specialized in what we call operator tooling. And operator tooling is software you write for internal operators to kind of run the business. So when I worked at Prime Video, I wrote software for the operators who ingest all the movie content for Prime Video. So for example, if you have a movie like Avengers Endgame, there's not just the video file. We have subtitles, poster art, character descriptions, like photos. There is contracts. There is availabilities. What content can we show this in? So there's a lot of stuff that comes into that. And we had about 1 million things flow through the system a day, but we only had 17 operators to verify that.
Wow.
So you can't do that with 17 people. So the only way you can do that is with, first and foremost, design workflows that it just works for the operators. And then secondarily, automate them as much as possible with AI. And we were able to automate so that 17 people can manage 1 million entries a day with time to spare. So being an expert in that kind of system, I looked at the incumbents and I was like, what the hell is going on here? It is very clear to me that there's been no innovation in this industry for over almost 2 decades. So I would say like most of the technologies they're seeing in prop tech today is from the mid 2000s, like 2005-ish. And also, it's not really software today that helps property managers. The software that's out there today is software that's designed to document the work that property managers do, rather than actually helping property managers do the work they need to do. So that's kind of how I got here today. Like there's a lot of smaller things that went into it than that, but that's kind of what got me started on this path.
I always love hearing stories about a problem, and then our industry, like you said, I think there's a certain level of pain that the industry is used to that they kind of stick with. And I love hearing stories of founders coming in and really starting to disrupt and say, hey, we don't have to live with this pain anymore. We can solve this. And I think, you and I had chatted before too. I think the workforce is changing and the workforce is demanding a better experience in order to even attract people into the industry. So I think it's a perfect time to reimagine how we work in this industry and what tools we use to make it better and more efficient.
Exactly. We have a lot of data. Like I come from Amazon, and one of the things to pride ourselves there is working with data. And I bring all that philosophy to Matador as well. So we do have a lot of data about what kind of customers that we have. So the average property manager is 39 years old, and they're used to iPhones. Like they're grown up with iPhones. They have used iPhones, and with the incumbents, what we see is that it takes about 4 to 5 months for them to be proficient at that software. And the data industry tells us as well is that the average turn for a property manager is a little over 1 year. So I know there's a lot of people stay there for decades, but the average property manager only stays there for 1 year. So if you have to spend like almost 40% of that employee's time with your business training them how to use the software, you're wasting a ton of money. So the way that we attacked Magic Door was that, again, like I know that you can optimize with AI. So that's really what you're going to get the bulk time reduction out of. But the first thing you should always do is optimize the user experience and user flows. And a lot of people undervalue that. So the first hire we had at Magic Door was not a software engineer. That was actually a user experience expert. To sit down and understand workflows for property managers. So what we see is that people don't need to learn Magic Door, because if you understand property management, the things in Magic Door is just where you expect it to be. So for example, if you want to add a charge to a lease, in other software that can be quite complicated sometimes, because you have to go to a tenant, for example, and add the charge to a tenant. But what if you have multiple tenants in this lease? Who do you add it to? There's a lot of complexities, a lot of things you have to know to do that. But imagine it just goes to the unit, and on the unit there's a menu called transaction. Just go to transaction, and then you have a button called add charge. That's it. So a lot of people, if they understand what property management is, they don't really need any kind of training to use Matador, because stuff just work the way that it does.
Nice. I also like what you said, and I've seen this trend, is that a lot of successful people in their careers are starting to invest in real estate on that SMB kind of traditional, and it's becoming a earlier generation buy and hold strategy because it has a decent return to it, and there's a lot of opportunity. There's a ton of buildings that fit into the SMB category. And I don't feel that there's really anybody that's truly dived into making that experience, like you were saying, one that's really current and that Domino's and Amazon experience into the workflow. So I love that you're working on that and offering that into the market. What you're doing.
So in America, 62 or 64% of all rental units is managed by either landlords or property managers who manage less than 100 units.
Oh, that's a
And
huge.
that's the majority of the market. And they don't have any options right now. Like there's no options for them. Like there's no software out there that have them that actually provides a full service package. So that's actually the market that we started out. Like Magic Door is built at Amazon scale. So you can come to Magic Door, you can have 100,000 units on it. We'll handle that, no problem at all. But we're starting out focusing on the people who have less than 100 units simply because there is no other options for them. And so that's a great way to kind of get a foot into the door here.
Yeah, the competitive landscape is wide open for you
Exactly.
in a very blue ocean way. So I love that you're working on that. And I have to say, I got to see a demo before of your platform. I really loved your back end automated accounting. As someone who's not a fan of accounting to begin with, I thought that was such a game changer to have automated accounting. That blew my mind.
It's very funny to me that the way that property management is right now, because a lot of them focus on the accounting aspect of property management. It's become the hardest part of it. And to be frank, property management accounting is not that difficult. It's just been made difficult by the tools that's available to you. Property management is a lot of this. There's a lot of accounting. There's a lot of bookkeeping in it, but it's a lot of the same things. And what the incumbents have, they actually started out as accounting softwares. And then they added property management on top of it afterwards. And that has a lot of impact in how they designed it, because they designed it as a general purpose accounting software that's then specialized in property management afterwards. Where Magic Door is designed to be a property management software that does accounting. So that means that instead of providing a generalized accounting system, we provide accounting system that's specialized for property managers, which means that we can simplify that flow a lot. Which means that you don't really need to go out and hire bookkeepers. You don't need to have dedicated accountants on staff to be able to do the accounting that you need. Now, that being said, under the hood, we are actually the only one in the industry that is true GAAP accounting under the hood. And that means that we can do a lot more cool stuff a lot faster than our incumbents can do. Because if you go to them, they have one accounting system for tenant payments. They have another accounting system for vendor billing. They have another accounting system for owners. And that's why it takes a few seconds to a minute to generate a report, because they need to gather all that data from different accounting systems and then merge them together and generate a report. Where at Magic Door, we are only one accounting system that then have different views on it, which means that we don't need to pull in and gather data in to generate those reports in the same way, same complex way that they have to do. That also means that we can add new accounting functionalities much more quicker, because everything works in the same way that an accountant would work it. So we just have to put UI on top of it when we have to launch new features.
Love it. Love it. That kind of gets me to my next question, which is, what are the trends that you predict in the next 5 years will change in how we work in multifamily and prop tech?
I think the biggest change we're going to see is with AI, of course, automation. My vision is that between 5 to 10 years from now, the majority of the job that a property manager do today will be automated. That includes accounting, maintenance request handling, vendor communication, and all that stuff. And now, I wouldn't say that today because AI is not ready for that today, but it will be in 5+ years. It might take 5, might take 10, but we're getting there. So what I envision property management would be a lot more building tenant relationships or resident relationships, and building relationship with owners, and really grow your portfolio. And then you will have property managers who is not sitting there day to day talking to tenants, but more kind of like supervising the AI. And that's really one of the big things that Magic Door has been built for. Everything that we do with AI is fully transparent. So the AI, if an AI sends a message to a tenant, you can see that in the chat and it's separated. When an AI deals on a maintenance request, you can see precisely what actions it took. And you can of course control the AI to whatever degree you want. So for example, with maintenance request, you can say, hey, for all plumbing issues, you should always use this vendor. Or you can say, here, use a group of these vendors, or you can say, hey, send it out for bidding. I don't know a vendor that can handle it. So you can really control what level you want the AI to work with. But the great thing here is that if you just say, hey, I have a vendor, my vendor's called Mar. Every time I have a plumbing issue, just assign it to Mar, and our AI will automatically email and text message Mar with what is going on, who the tenant is, what is the issue, what have you already talked with the tenant about to triage the issue. And then if Mar accepts the job, it will automatically try to coordinate between the vendor and the tenant when they can come out and do the work. So for multifamily, like you normally have on-site staff to deal with maintenance requests. You don't really need to go out and get bidding for work orders, but you don't need to coordinate your on-site guy anymore. That can be taken care of by the AI now. So you can have multiple different staff, and then the AI can assign it to the different staff that you have. And the AI will talk to the tenant, hey, are we allowed to come in? And you can update your policy, like that the vendor can come out within 10 minutes. You just need to confirm they're allowed to enter the property.
Yep. Well, it takes care of so much of that back and forth that breaks the ability to get things done and closed out, right? It's that growing to-do list. You're starting to close that to-do list in a much faster amount of time with a lot less friction.
Yeah. And that's really what we want to do. Like we want to automate as much as possible, especially the boring task. Because like it's not fun to deal with a maintenance request, like a blocked toilet. Like it's not fun. And property managers don't make any money off of that. Like, if you're multifamily, it's different. But if you're a property manager who manage third-party buildings, you don't make any money off of maintenance. So that's just a time and money thing for you.
Yeah.
And what we found was that property managers, as a company as a whole, spends about 70% of their time talking to tenants. Because
that surprised me.
Yeah. Because you're not going to get text. You're going to get a phone call. You're going to get a phone call, hey, my toilet's blocked. Okay, then you need to spend time figuring out with them. Then you need to call your vendor. When can you come out? We have a blocked toilet. When can you come out? The vendor's going to say, I'm going to come out tomorrow or Friday. Then you have to call the tenant. Okay, you can be there tomorrow, Friday. Or I'm not home. I'll be home on Saturday. You need to call the vendor back. Okay, can you come out Saturday? All of those back and forth adds up so much time. And that is what AI is great at, is automating that kind of communication. And then sometimes like you need to make decisions. And that is what we want to have the property manager spend time on, making those decisions, not the busy work.
I love high value service. When I and this dates me horribly, but when I first got into the industry, we had plenty of time to serve our residents and renters. And we weren't laden down with the complexity and the cumbersomeness that I think some of the well-intentioned technologies has created, that additional complexity. And what really is hitting me about what you're saying right now is for SMB customers and renters, a lot of times they do not get a great renter experience because you don't necessarily have staff on site. And so you're bringing that high level of automated, really great resident and renter experience in that the larger buildings have by having people on site, but you're even adding an extra layer of efficiency to it, which I think is truly disruptive.
And it truly shows values to your residents as well, because they see engagement right away.
Yeah.
And for example, like one of the examples that I have as well as like how smart our AI is that we have found a way to create a tenant experience in such a way that it's text first. We have a tenant portal, we have a mobile app, but our whole philosophy is that tenants should not have to use that. So that because I know as a property manager, if you have to pay technical assistant for your tenants, you're going to waste a ton of time on that. Everybody can figure out how to text. So what we can actually do is that when we have maintenance requests, we can actually create group text with all the tenants in a unit. And then the AI will have that conversation with all the tenants in the unit at the same time. And one of the great examples that I have is that a tenant name was Emily, but apparently she decided to go by the name Riley. And the AI started, hey, Emily, I'm sorry to hit this maintenance request issue. Can you give a little bit more information about it? And then one of the other tenants informed us, because they didn't know they're talking to an AI, that she actually goes by Riley. And then the AI automatically went in and updated that nickname for that person. And now it would refer to her as Riley from the future on. And especially in today's age, like, it's super important to communicate with people in the way that they prefer to be communicated with. So that kind of stuff, as a property manager, you forget to do, right? Because there's so many things, but the AI does it every time, right?
Yeah, the staff changeovers that happen too. You get a new property manager, a new leasing consultant. Having that information on demand that you can serve better and more accurately is a huge game changer.
And then we take a completely different approach to property management. So it's no secret, like, I come from big tech, and so does all my other back engineers. But all in leadership at Magic Door are involved in property management or property investment in some way or another. So we have a lot of experience in it, and we also see it differently. So one of the big things that's been challenging prop tech for a long time is that it's not sexy. Like, it's not the sexy business to be in, especially not if you're an engineer who makes a lot of money. And you can be in crypto, you can be in movie generation, in fintech, like all of those very sexy industries, as we kind of call it. So they get all the innovation. But what I've seen in this industry is that you haven't gotten any of that. Like, the only people that come into this industry is private equity or like MBAs who see a need in the market, but they don't know what you can do with technology. They don't know how actually to do it. They're not property management experience. They don't have tech experience. So they just come in and build something like everybody else. But with our experience, we come in with the experience of what actually can be done and how to do it, but also how we can look at this a little differently. So we have built Magic Door in a way that's so efficient cost-wise that we don't need to charge property managers anything.
Property management companies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as I alluded to earlier, the average cost of software for a property manager is, I think it's like 17.5% of revenue goes to software subscriptions. Now that goes up and down depending on how many software subscriptions you have, but that's the average that we see. So if you go with Magic Door, just that in itself is going to increase your bottom line by 20%. But the other thing that we have is that we have what we call the 5 pillars of property management. That is rent collection, leasing, accounting, maintenance request and work order, and tenant communication. So our goal is that this should stay free forever, and it should be included in all packages. Now, if you want additional services such as pet screening or intercom system management, that would be an integration solution that we want. So, but we have those 5 pillars, and we want to make that for free. But also the other thing that we have said is that is the core of property management. That is where we want to do automation. So we need to own that. We cannot outsource that to a third party like many others do with a marketplace. So the challenge that you have is that when you have a marketplace approach, like most of our competitors have, you have to go to one software for, let's say, vendor management. You have to go to another software for maintenance requests. You have to go to one software for AI interaction with tenants. And you end up with 4 or 5 different softwares. But the problem that you have is that blocks you from automating, because you can't automate across a series of point solutions. So if you have like all of our competitors are going to be left behind. They might still keep up right now, but it's only a matter of time until this AI rocket ship really gets a lot more booster on, and they're going to be left behind because tech-wise, they can't do it. Business model-wise, they can't do it either because they are so dependent on getting those revenue sources from those third-party marketplaces that they can't build this stuff out themselves without cannibalizing their revenue models. And that also means that they won't do it. But also that means that they can't do automation because they can't own the whole stack. So you're gonna see automation within the each point solution, but you cannot automate across it. So for example, if you have a maintenance request system, let's say like HappyCo, and you have another vendor management system like Vendoroo, that's fine. You can jump between them as a human, but an AI cannot. So an AI, like Foley cannot build an AI that goes to HappyCo and gets data from that and then send it also to Vendoroo to find a vendor for it, then go back to HappyCo to assign the vendor, then go back to Vendoroo to do Tenant. You can't do that. Therefore, it's super important that you build a homogeneous platform that owns those core principles of property management. Else you just cannot automate it in the degree that actually works. I think an example of that is also with the current AI solution that's out there. Is an attached solution to it. So, for example, if you take Elise AI, that's an AI solution that you can attach on top of a software like Folio. And Folio also have a leasing agent called Lisa. So let's say now you want to use the leasing agent Lisa, and you want to use Elise AI for tenant communication. You're going to have 3 phone numbers now because they all have a different phone number. Lisa has a phone number, Lisa AI has a phone number, and you as a property manager has a phone number. So you have to give your tenants 2 phone numbers to begin with. One if that deals that gets into Lisa AI, and one that goes to Folio. Sorry, one that goes to you as a property manager. And who do you think they're going to call when they have a maintenance request? They're not going to call the AI that's a secondary phone number.
Yeah.
Exactly, right. So, but with Magic Door, because it's all one homogeneous platform where one of our cores is tenant communication, all of these, we can do the same things, but all this is one phone number. So they can text one phone number, and that would take them to leasing if they ask leasing questions. It would take them to maintenance request handling if it's maintenance question, or if a question for you, it will be directed to you because we have an AI sitting directing all of those messages through the same platform. So you won't have that issue like the tenants not using the tools that you're paying for.
Oh, that makes sense. Any other thoughts on work changing and multifamily and prop tech in the next 5 years?
I think there's a lot of thoughts, but I think it's going to change a lot. Like it's going to be a completely different landscape in 5 years than it is today.
It's an exciting time. It's past due, which I think we both agree on many, many standpoints. What advice would you give to property owner groups, regardless of size, that are considering moving and changing the way that they work through an automated PMS platform? Where should they start in kind of considering the change management that's going to come with that, and taking the first step?
Well, I would say the first thing that a lot of people should be aware of is that what we're looking at right now with AI is the industrial revolution. So not going with AI right now is the same thing as saying when the steam engine came, I don't believe in that. It's just a fad, right? It is gonna increase productivity more than tenfold.
Oh yeah.
And so, but I would take a look and see, do I want to go with the flow, or do I want to get left behind? Because if you don't go with the flow of AI, your tenant experience is going to degrade a lot compared to your competitors over time. It's not just your residents, but also your owners. Like what kind of data do they have access to? What kind of interactions can they do with them? And like it would be a slow change. It will be like you say, when you boil a frog, you only notice it, but suddenly 2 to 3 years from now, you're going to say, what is going on? Why can't I go out and get any more owners? Why am I constantly getting out competed? Because not only like because of money was so cheap, and before, property management, the compensation went down a lot. It's going to be very hard to turn that up again now in the market where money is not as free. So you have to find other ways to be competitive with. And if you keep paying for expensive software solution when there's free alternatives, that's going to hurt your bottom line quite a lot. And also, moving software is not as difficult as many people make it out to be. That it is if you move between outdated software to another outdated software with contracts and all that kind of stuff, because they're not easy softwares. But if you move to an easy software, what we are seeing is that you onboard people in a few days. You just sit them down, explain to them what property management is, give them your handbook of policies, and they're just good to go. And we also have software that can actually log in and extract all your data from the current solution so that you can actually move over just in a few hours. And Magic Door comes with launch plans, which means that when you sign up, we hold your hand through the whole experience. And we provide you with tenant announcements plans and dates where announcements are sent out. We provide you with flyers and communication to tenants. So everything is handled automatically from our side.
Nice. I love it. Well, any announcements coming up for you in the next coming months?
Yeah, we're actually going to apartment size and blueprint over the next couple of months. So if you guys want to come get a demo or talk to us about any questions, feel very free to come by and ask.
Awesome. I'll be at both as well and look forward to seeing you there. And
I'll see you again.
We'll make sure we put links into the episode when it goes live as well so everybody can find you, and really appreciate the conversation and look forward to seeing what else is coming for you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Shelley. It's been a pleasure.
And that wraps up another episode of PropTech Pulse. I hope this conversation has given you valuable insights and perhaps even sparked some ideas for your own PropTech journey. Remember, the future of multifamily is being written right now with every technological advance and innovative solution. So stay curious, stay connected, and keep your finger on the pulse of PropTech. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to PropTech Pulse on your favorite podcast platform and share this along with your colleagues. You can also find us on social media for bite-sized insights and updates. I'm Shelley Robinson, and until next time, let's keep innovating, disrupting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in PropTech and multifamily. Let's build it together.